RCI nearly turning 4 years old, and among all of the championships that we have run over those 4 years, Night Owl stands out as the longest running series, entering its 13th season tonight with one of the biggest grids we've ever had for Night Owl. We are back in 2023. It's Night Owl, baby, and I'm Jesse Lee, joined by Ted Edwards and Stewie in the box tonight. Ted, welcome back.
Thank you, Jesse. I've been waiting for this for a while. Night Owl's back. We're streaming it again. Just me, Jesse, and Stewie sitting here just watching this for a whole hour is brings back good memories.
Well, you haven't heard from us on a Saturday night since late last year. We took a season off that wasn't streamed. There were several seasonal mini championships that ran as well, but we are back. The longest running series here at RCI, continuing that tradition. And Ted, we have a humongous grid tonight.
It's the biggest Night Owl seen in one split. There wasn't there wasn't enough to split into two splits, unfortunately. Like we used to have two splits, didn't we, Jesse? Back in a few years ago when we were like real popping with the Night Owl. But all in all, we had 49 cars pre-queue, and at the minute we've got 41 cars on the track.
Yes, of course, and we are live for round number one here at Zolder. Qualifying underway, a 15-minute quali session. A lot of times for the Friday and Monday champs, you get a 10-minute session, something like that. This is 15 minutes, and with the amount of cars that we have, the amount of congestion exactly on cue, as I was just saying that, you need 15 minutes because things like this are bound to happen.
Yeah, it's such a big grid, different skill levels. As you see Harry Conway almost going into the back of someone for the second to last corner, and it on board with Groom Lola following Jordan Daly getting a nice toe from that AMG. But yeah, it's a big grid, a lot of different skill levels, so we're going to see all sorts of different driving, all sorts of different strategies. It's going to be a good one.
Well, it certainly is, and you've got drivers returning. You've got Night Owl staples in here. You've got the most successful Night Owl driver back here running the season, the most successful team in Night Owl history also here as well. You've got a mix of the talent, of course, the white number placard, the pro drivers, and the silver drivers with the silver or gray number backing as well. Two different classes, two different championships coinciding. And it is Zolder, by the way, after all. It is not a large racetrack. Absolutely going to have issues navigating traffic tonight. They're having issues navigating traffic in quali. Just look at that track map. Absolutely jam-packed with race cars.
Yeah, if you have to pit to get put some more fuel in or sort out your pressures, you're sort of a bit screwed to find a gap. But you can sort of try and wiggle your way into a nice space, as you see here. Jordan Watson's right in the rear view mirror of that blue Ferrari there. And no, there you go, just on cue, there's no space. But yeah, that's unfortunate.
Well, I will say that is going to be a common occurrence as well. Cars going off left, right, and center. There are massive gravel traps. You're likely going to see a bit more serious collisions here as well, especially early on into the race. The good news is this is classic Night Owl, Ted. No live stewarding tonight, so any penalty you see is assessed by the sim itself. There's post-race stewarding available, of course. Drivers have to report their incidents, but no live stewarding means that, well, it's back to the old Wild West.
Yeah, it sure is. Back to the old days when we didn't have live stewarding for Night Owl, just because obviously it's late in the evening. But yeah, it sort of gave them a little season off. You know, they always work hard doing all our championships, and especially the 6-hour series we have, putting so much effort. So give them a little bit of a break, put their feet up. We also have one of our head stewards that normally does Night Owl, Phil Roberts, driving, as you see down in 21, the 225 in the Bentley. He's actually racing in Night Owl, I think maybe for the first time.
Yep, that was something else we needed to mention too. New names, names that we are not familiar with, names that I'm familiar with, like IPEC, for instance, running in the Monday championships and the Friday championships, stuff like that. Here at Night Owl, returning drivers that are always here. Of course, Night Owl's original inception back in the day, years and years ago, Ted Edwards was a fetus when Night Owl started, of course, and it was meant to give the North and South American time zones a better time slot to race in. What we could have never seen coming was just how many Europeans enjoy a later race time. That's exactly what you see here. Lucas Weiss for Pole Sim Sport, one of those drivers that I don't think we've ever seen in Night Owl competition. Pole Sim Sport here tonight, currently the quickest in the session, and that's saying something in this crowd.
Yeah, there's a lot of new faces here, up and down the grid, and obviously your favourites from previous nights. Got Jordan Daly, you got uh, Grim Lilith, obviously Phil Roberts, as I just said, and you've got yeah, those people got one main person as well, Jesse, the number 3 296 Ferrari, Harry Conway has come back three-time Night Owl champion, has returned after a very long break.
Well, of course, half the qualifying is gone, half of it still left to go here tonight. We're going to see who can take pole position. I think more than almost any other racetrack in ACC, you're going to need a good starting position here. Otherwise, you're going to be mired back in traffic, absolutely losing a ton of time. Nobody wants to deal with that. And of course, it almost feels, partner, tonight inevitable that there'd be some sort of incident with this many cars barreling into turns 1, 2, and 3. And get me started about that first chicane.
Yeah, that first chicane can be a bit of a trouble for some people. You know, there's a few people in here who can take it pretty quickly, and there's some that are still getting used to the 1.9 update, and how the cars take the curves now. And from what I heard, it's a little bit more difficult before you can just hit both of the curves, but apparently now you can only hit really the right curve, the second curve in that chicane.
There's been so much to talk about with the season 13 of Night Owl that we haven't even mentioned the 1.9 update. Of course, we had the Friday champ last night. That was sort of a four-way. A lot of these drivers were here last night in the Friday GT Sprint Challenge Championship. They got a taste of what this new update looks like. There's new dynamics, physics of the car, a new way of setting up the car. The rates and the adjustments you make for the setup are more realistic and in line with what the real world cars would have. And the big thing that I think everybody feels immediately, the curbs, the tires, and how they interact with one another. And the other thing everybody feels is the absolute mega amount of graining these tires get after an hour of running.
Yeah, I did Friday champ last night, and oh my god, the Porsche at Barcelona in the bit of heat we had really grained. I will get onto that story during the race, and how the tyres feel, because it's a pretty weird one, I think, for everyone, but I think it makes the game a bit more better.
Well, you're going to get a little argument from me, and I think most of the community absolutely enjoys this update as well. Everybody has had to go back to the drawing boards, and especially the esports high-profile drivers, the pros here tonight as well, certainly have had to go back to the books essentially in the past week or so and relearn how to set up these cars. You got so used to setting them up a certain way, certain tricks that worked, they no longer work, or they don't work as good as they did, and you've had to completely relearn how to set up cars, what works, what doesn't work, and also, more importantly to some, how to set these tires up, how to save these tires. This sim no longer supports absolutely going for it on these tires. You have to protect the Pirellis.
Well, we've got 4.5 minutes left of qualifying, and yeah, it just seems like a few people are struggling a bit. Grim Lilith down in 23rd in the pro category is struggling a tiny bit. Harry Conway's up in 8th. He's doing all right for himself. John Seville in 1st at the minute with a 1:27.955. That is just only half a tenth faster than 144. So very close up there, and Danny Santos not too far behind either. So looking like a nice grid at the top end. And for Silver though, 67 Fred Ferreira is sort of walking away with it. Got 3 pro cars in between them and so triple two. See John Daly's down there in 17th as well. So people are pretty spread out, but is that just a qualifying pace? Like Jesse just said, tires graining, graining too hard, and it can ruin your race. You need to look after them tires.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I can tell you what car's favored here right now, and I'd be able to take that to the bank. Top 8 all Ferraris, 9 out of the top 10 all in the brand new Ferrari. Baddest Motors, the number 3 car. This is Harry Conway. This is the winningest driver in Night Out history. 3 championships, several mini champs as well to their name. Got a Thursday GT4 champ as well, but this is Night Out, baby, not Thursday. Harry trying to do the unthinkable, win a 4th championship. 9th place, that's not a terrible starting position, but certainly would like to be a little closer to the front. Almost nothing in it between the top 2, and really nothing in it between the majority of the top 10. A few 100s gets you a place here late in this quali session.
Yeah, just looking at the pre-queue list we have, and out of the 49 cars that did the pre-queue, 25 are Ferraris. That's a pretty big portion of the grid. That's almost half the grid. More than half the grid, actually. My maths is wrong.
Well, we love bad maths here. And somebody who's on this broadcast frequently, bad maths. I don't know who that is. Probably Stewie, to be honest. Moving on, yeah. Seville still with the quickest lap now. Displaced Weiss, who had the quickest lap for a little while. Denny Santo was in 3rd place for a moment, but that was before Watson went to the top of the pylon, a 27.915, good enough to take pole position and knock Seville to the other side of the starting grid. Jordan Daly, who almost wasn't in this race tonight, debated if they were even going to join the race. They have done. They're in 18th place now, but for a fact that just Gamers 197 Mercedes, a little bit more pace than they've been able to show in this quali session so far. We'll see if final one of them.
Yeah, Jordan was saying before the race that he's just feeling a bit tired and didn't know if he was going to do it. He's had a pretty hectic day, so it's nice to see him here, and hopefully he can get some points, but I'll have to see how he goes. I'm just looking at the silver class, and Matthew Malcolm in the 199 is in 11th, almost in the top 10 with the pros. That's pretty good going on the pace there.
Everybody trying to gain a little bit of time. 1 second covering the top 21, 22 cars. I don't think they're going to get further apart. They're going to get closer here in the final few moments. That was 1 position gain for Daly there. A couple of 10ths, and again, a few 100s gains them another spot. Here's your provisional pole sitter, Jordan Watson, the Pulse Sim Sport 147 Ferrari. They have improved again. They ran a 27.915 the last time by. They ran a 27.717, and Watson has backed it down. They could have done another lap, but they probably won't have to. Nearly a quarter of a second clear of Seville in the group, but here comes Jonathan Seville.
Yeah, Watson doing a really good lap time there, and have to see what the other drivers can do. They've still got a few seconds left to just finish off the laps. Don't think anyone else crossing the line now will get a lap in. No, they won't. So that's the end for Seville. And that's close, Jesse. That's what we want to see at the top end of this grid here. And I think can Marquez catch up anymore? They take second or even first. That'd be pretty nice to see. Some people are bought in the laps, as you see. Some yellow flags out there. Probably cracked guts or just not getting enough time out of the car, and so that their place will do.
Pulse Sim Sport showed up in force. They've done that in other championships as well. They're certainly showing their strong side here a night out again. Javier Marquez coming across. Will they improve like Seville did to 1/10 exactly off of the pole position? Marquez could potentially displace one of his teammates, but more importantly than anything, gaining a little bit of ground on the likes of Y Santo behind them would be ideal. Danny Santo, Tier Sim Racing Esports 33, looking to improve as well. A 10th here gets him a couple of spots, maybe good enough for third if he can pull that off. Coming to the line, will it be an improvement? It doesn't look like it is going to be one that counts. Harry Conway comes across, improves up to P6. That will conclude qualifying. Here are the results. The top 9 all in the brand new Ferrari.
Yeah, it doesn't really surprise me that much at the moment in time, but you never know, might change in the future. But yeah, Harry Conway improves on that his last lap there, I think by a tenth or so. Um, I think that was Santo we saw lost a tenth out of the final corner, and he was up a tenth, so doesn't improve. That's why he pulled off to the left. But yeah, I see an Audi there though, an Audi, a new Porsche, and the Lamborghini down as well.
Couple of interesting cars there. There was more than just the Ferrari added in the 1.9 update. It was, of course, the brand new Ferrari, but the Evo Lamborghini Evo 2, in fact, and the brand new Porsche 911 as well. All very interesting cars that drive completely different from one another. The new track added in the 1.9 update, Valencia, which we will be at later in the season. But this is usually the point in the broadcast where we show you championship points, but this is a new championship. We don't have any, so we won't. So we're not. Moving swiftly on to the grid. You gotta like Pulse Sim Sport and what they've been able to do here by clogging up the front of this grid. They have come out in force and they have backed it up.
Yeah, they sure have. But I can see there's a blue car on the left there, and that's the Harry Conway coming back, and he's not as they call washed yet, Jesse Lee. He's taking some time away from ACC and Night Owl, but he's come back for this season, and he's just showing us that he's still got some good pace in him.
Harry Conway, by Night Owl standards, is a old veteran at this, so to speak. We'll see where he shakes out at the end of the championship in his pursuit for a unbelievable fourth Night Owl championship. Nobody else has more than two. He has three, looking to double up the next best driver. The last thing we need to do before we turn the lights out and go green tonight from Zolder is welcome you all in chat as well. See your lovely messages. We read chat as we always are here at RCI. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Michael Redford said that he was getting in his excuses early for this race. I like that. I love a racing driver excuse, and I love getting them in beforehand. It makes them way more believable. I know that for sure. Kevin Boss, who is a commentator broadcaster here at RCI, not in the race tonight, but rooting for some of his friends. Harrigan is in the field tonight as well. I've just noticed. I didn't realize that until Boss mentioned it as well. And to all the drivers in chat, taking their final moments, their final breaths before they get the visor down and go racing, we salute you. Thank you for being here. And of course, good luck in the race.
Yeah, not long until they get going on their formation lap, but there's a lot of cars here, Jesse. We haven't seen this many cars in a very, very long time, especially in Night Owl. Normally two splits for this, but I decided, you know what, let's shove everyone into the same split and see how we get along. But it's nice to see people still do the sim racing. We had the big boom during the dark times, as you like to call it, and yeah, people have latched on to, I would say, a really good hobby.
Indeed, indeed. Keep in mind with the 1.9 update, something else to add. It's not just the new cars that have these new dynamics. Every single car, regardless of class, has been touched by the new physics update, setup updates, etc. So every single car, whether you're in one of the brand new ones or not, has changed and had to redo all the setups. This is very interesting because that happened a little less than 2 weeks ago, and these drivers still figuring it out, working out what works, what doesn't work. Everyone trying to tackle the tire problem, how to use them most efficiently without draining them severely. Several cars, several of the Triple R baddest motors cars from last night, almost all of them had severe graining on the tires. I would suspect that would be indicative of what the majority of the field, if not the entire field, were dealing with as well. First race of the season, Pulse Sim Sport out in front. Ted Edwards, we're going to do our normal night out thing. Who's your money on?
Oh, who's my money on? Oh, I'm gonna have to say, oh, evil Jesse, what are you doing to me? I'm gonna say Seville.
I will say you have 43 or so cars to pick from. It is a lot. Stewie, our broadcaster, you can't hear him. We can hear him at our ear. He's the one that keeps us straight through these broadcasts. His money's on Weiss, and that's a fair play. You know what I'm going to do? Wild card entry. I'm taking the 3-time champion.
I thought you might, Jesse. That's why I left that one to you.
What a lovely human being Ted Edwards is here tonight. Well, I've already lost. That is Harry Conway, who qualified P6. They are in the pit lane in their Ferrari. I don't think they're going to win tonight. I'm going to go out on that limb, but I'm not changing my pick. My man of honor.
Yeah, I wonder why he was complaining to me in the chat just a minute ago, and he was asking my 3-minute wait time, and I think he went to the toilet and didn't get back in time.
Well, that is unfortunate as well, but we'll see if we cover some of these positions. They qualified 6. Surely they can get some of those spots back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to season 13 of Night Owl. It's 2023, and we're back live on a Saturday night. We're having fun. We hope you're having fun with us, and we're about to light this candle 1 hour here at Zolder to start this championship off. Pulse Sim Sport walking out the front row. Will they get a clean run into one? They absolutely will. 3 rows, 4 rows clear, but they're 2 wide, maybe 3 wide, 4 wide in some spaces, a little bit further back. Everybody trying to make their way through turn number 1. Several cars backwards, 1 car backwards, 1 off onto the infield. They will have to get going. No restarts in order tonight. This is not live stewarded, of course. 3 wide through the 3rd turn. 1 car gets forced off the racetrack. The pink car trying to merge in the most advantageous position. They've just about got that done. They're still 2 and 3 wide. It's going to get dangerous down here in the chicane.
Yeah, let's see if anyone can make it through cleanly. A lot of people checking a pretty. Oh, there's one spin already. Oh no, back on. Helped by the car and a big crash out the back there.
Oh boy!
People just mind out the way. I think I see Grim Lilith in there, the white Porsche. You just see. It is a bit of a yikes there, Jesse, but it's what happens when you got all these many cars.
Well, a huge pile up there. Several cars involved. The 91. I think also definitely involved, but was very late to get that going again. I think maybe they made it through the majority of the turn before they were collected. But many cars off, too many to name, but they are going to be on a recovery drive tonight. So many others are as well. Olivier Kierton, the Kraken Engineering 111, trying to outrun Edvardsen and the like behind them. They've got Edvardsen and Daly right behind them side by side. Kierton's going to like that. That's going to help them get away just a little bit as Edvardsen up the inside of Daly. Daly nearly running out of room at the exit of turn number 1. Is he still on the inside? Just about. Room given to him by Edvardsen, and they still remain just about side by side. The BMW clears now finally, and the Kroenland's Esports Sim Racing 180 BMW gets the job done, but that took just about half a lap.
Yeah, and just looking, some people are back in the pit lane. Harry Conway is back in the pit lane, not in the pit box, but he's I think he's doing his mandatory pit stop now, just to get out of the way of the traffic, to not get in any trouble. He unfortunately got into some trouble last night in the Friday champ at turn 1, lap 1, and didn't make it any more laps after that, I don't think. So he's learning from what happened last night and just trying to stay out of everyone's way and do his own race and own pace, which is pretty sensible, pretty good strategy, I would say.
Full Simsport did a fantastic job at the front of this field. They obviously somewhat controlled the start based on qualifying and just how good they got away. The first several rows were completely clear. Watson leads Seville. We got Weiss behind them in third place for the time being. Grim Lilith from Race Ventura, the 115. You know that team, Ted. In the middle of this pack,
Hey, yo.
trying to get by Jones.
Yeah, Grim was caught up in the chicane accident. I don't think he was damaged too much. It might just be a little bit of a bonk here and there, where we saw some cars work backwards. Obviously got a bit more damage, and he's still going round, so it's not enough damage to make him do a pit stop and get it repaired. But yeah, he's racing for our team. No bias here though. I support everyone equally.
I'm going to hold you to that over the course of the season. Grim trying to go down the inside of Jones. He has him right where he wants him. He's going to have to outbrake him down the inside. That's a hard task to do. You don't want to fall too far off of the curb. Otherwise, you end up backing that car off into the dirt. That'd be very naughty, but it doesn't happen there. And he has to surrender the position and go defensive because Barham and Redford right behind him. Oh, and it's a huge slide. And will he save the car? He has just about saved it, but he's going to lose a couple of spots. Was that Barham with the contact on Lilith that made him go off into the dirt? Redford gets through as well, but that was another scary moment. It's been a frightening couple of laps for Grim.
Yeah, this is the problem when you race this close. It's difficult because people have different braking zones. Each car has its own different braking point as well. You know, Porsches can brake a little bit early. I noticed the Ferraris can brake quite late.
Oh!
Ooh, where is that Ferrari going? Where is that Lamborghini going, Jesse? They're taking two different routes here, but they're
that's
back on track.
Neither one of those cars ran the racetrack as designed, I think is what we can say there. But what I think happened right there was after the initial contact, the Lamborghini was scared essentially and elected to leave the racetrack, fearing there being a secondary contact is what that was. But that was not the line, as Ryan Mawson would say.
That is not the line, no. And I see Jordan Daly's done his pit stop as well. I think he has the same idea as Harry Conway. I know them two and Phil Roberts are in a little cool with each other, so they've probably got a little bit of strats going. But yeah, hopefully it starts thinning out soon, Jesse. But with the amount of cars on the track, I don't think it will. I think it'll be racing all the time. And poor Stewie has got to try and find all the action that he can. It's not going to be too hard.
Tell you what, they're not thinning out at the front of this field. Watson and Seville are as tightly packed as they were on the initial start. Seville has the pace in that car. We go back a little bit in the field. Team Schumi skins the Zach Doran number 10. Porsche looking at Marquez in the 49. These cars a little bit out of order of where I would have expected, especially Marquez to be certainly, but all racing each other quite nicely. No big moves made there. Javier Marquez, was there contact down in the second chicane? You bet there was.
Yeah, that was a big shunt on the door there. Shouldn't be too bad for the damage though. Would be for, I think that's, yeah, the Porsche front right bumper can affect the heat of the tyre. Almost the rear end of that Ferrari, and that was very, very close. But the Ferrari getting hit in the door shouldn't really affect the car that much. So it's really the Porsche's the one that came off the worst there. But you never know. The Ferrari could have got a track limit there. It can happen. I've had it before where someone's tapped me off the road and I've come out worse basically, and it's not great. Too wide into the chicane.
Oh, that's never gonna work.
No.
Javier Marquez goes around. The Full Simsport driver who qualified quite well has done nothing but been bunched, I think is the correct word, to the back of this field. A couple of hits and that car is nowhere near their initial starting position. Frustration for Javier Marquez.
Yeah, 52 minutes in, 52 minutes left, Jesse, and there's so much action going on. Where is Grim and Lilith going? That is not how you do the
He's getting a track cuts, what he's doing.
I think you could have got two then there, Jesse. That's a bit of bumpy one.
Ted's not joking, by the way. There are places on some of these racetracks where one track cut counts as two.
I think he was just in for that first one, but definitely the second corner he would have got one. It was a bit too fast through there, but what can you do when you tap doors and your car just goes off? You ain't braking on gravel.
Here's the thing: you can't tell racing drivers not to race. I would never dream of that. Uh, but at some point too, there's got to be some mutual respect as well for your fellow competitors. And I don't think anything happened thus far was malicious in any way. It's just human error that has gone on. It's spread out some of the field, but beyond that, there are still everybody in line. One little mistake, you hit the curb wrong, exiting the first chicane, you get a little sideways, it creates a run like this. Dan Edvardsen trying to make a move here on Malcolm to get up into 11th place, nearly gets rear-ended by Rodriguez in the 85 Audi. Rudy Philmalter in tow as well, looking on at the situation, trying to keep Moffitt behind them.
What's nice to see though is not. Oh, what a send! And makes it
How
work.
did he make that?
I don't know. I think Edvardsen just saw it coming at the last second and moved out of the way, which is a good racing right there. But it's nice to see that it's not just Porsche, Ferrari, and Lamborghinis. There are Audis, the M4s in here. We've got 2 Mercs in here, which was another car that actually got updated with the 1.9 update. They took 2 wing off the rear wing. Funny enough, it's down from 12 to 10 as Jordan Daly found out when he had one of his setups, and it said 1 wing on it. And that doesn't make any sense because it wasn't a Monza setup. So they did say, Kunos did say that they would they updated the car as like the Mercedes did throughout the 2 years, 3 years it's been running. So it's basically up to spec. It's an Evo 1.5 if you like.
I very much like that indeed. Some people will prefer less Wang than others, and they're daily trying to figure out that car. One of the only Mercedes in the field thus far. We follow the group at the front, Seville, the 97 Pulse Sim Sport car. They're running second, just half a second behind the leader of the race, their teammate, but they are the quickest car. That might be the tow in effect. There's literally nothing in it between Watson and Seville for the time being. A little bit of a gap behind them has formed. The top 5 cars have separated themselves to their own delight, but that will not last for very long. Eventually, they will get into lap traffic. We haven't even talked about the pit stop tonight, which segues very nicely into this. Ted Edwards, what is the pit stop requirements tonight?
For them, it's pretty easy. It's just 1 liter of fuel in the 57-minute pit window, so it's not too difficult. You can pit when you want. As we see, Harry Conway and Jordan Daly did it early on. A few others did. Obviously, damage as well. Some other people repaired, so it's pretty easy. I thought, opening off Night Owl, a massive grid. Let's just ease them into it a little bit.
BMW going wide right here. That will allow Philmalter to sneak on by, I would think. Still there, can't merge just yet, being led in line. And there it is. Edvardsen, though, is not going to rest in that position. Has to get by that car. Doesn't pay more points. That's 2 different classes, Silver and Pro. But still, losing that position just puts him further out of touch from the likes of Rodriguez and Kierton, the drivers he's racing against, the yellow Ferrari. Off the wide into the racetrack now. I wonder if this is a curb that caused this, and certainly was.
Yeah, that's the problem. The 1.9 update helps taking curbs a bit better. You can hit curbs harder, and it doesn't really upset the car too much. As long as your setup is not too stiff and wild, you can take them quite nicely. But it just shows that Zolder first chicane curb. Still like a mountain to some cars, and if you're there's another Ferrari in the gravel as well.
Oh, that's contact though.
Yeah.
That happened before they ever got to the turn.
But yeah, you hit them, and the rear end bounces, and as you saw, the Ferrari snapped.
Alexander Orlick's involved with that. I fear that he may have been punted into the corner. One Ferrari oversteers. That is Omar Rolano, one of the tier sim racing cars. That has dropped him 5, 6, maybe 7 places, Ted.
Yeah, and the problem with spinning as well, Jesse, we get onto the tyres now. Well, we have a little bit of a quick break from all the action, the yellow flags is, as I say, that's the yellow flag at turn 1, the 89. Gone to the pit lane. That is Rilano again. But yeah,
I think he parked that car after the.
I think he did. But with the sliding, you slide the tires too much, and you can really grain them hard. And to the latter end of the race, you're gonna really feel it on the rear end. There goes the 28 as well. Callum Kerrigan going off to the right. It's that chicane, catching people out.
Well, we get to this point, and you can try to start drawing parallels. Several Ferraris hitting the curbs too hard and losing control. We used to see that quite frequently here with the rock-hard suspensions of the cars. They're less rock-hard now, but it is still possible. If you hit the curbs wrong, that will happen. And in 2 consecutive laps, we've seen 2 Ferraris make the same error. Park their car on the side of the circuit. Log jam here. Malcolm in the 199, the silver car, the P2 silver car in that class to cork in the bottle for Moffitt and Doran, who are in the pro class. Malcolm goes around the outside here as if to say, go through, my fight is not with you. Got to be careful because the 23 of Van Sant not too far behind here.
Yeah, as we're saying with the sliding, Jesse, getting back onto the tyres is you slide them, you generate too much heat, and then they get really bad on the heat, and they'll end up sliding for a few laps. You can cool them down, but they'll already have that extra grain that you don't want on them. Also, you can get blistering. I noticed as well yesterday at Barcelona. I had my back left blistering because it wasn't too hot, but it was at 94 degrees for like the whole race, and the threshold now is between 70 and 100 degrees Celsius. So it just goes to show that you need to try and keep your well, that was close there, wasn't it, with Cena and Kern actually again. But yeah, you just have to keep your tyre temps in check at all times. I found out as well, brake pads 1, they feel more like a qualifying pad now. 10 minutes left of the race, we had to start braking a lot earlier, but we don't know if that was to do with tyres graining, or it was just literally the brake pads deciding that they didn't want to be brake pads anymore.
Excellent insight there, and what I was fearing, we saw Malcolm give up a couple of positions to some of the pro cars. Keep in mind, championship points are given out by class, not overall, so he didn't lose anything there, but what he did lose was his buffer between him and Van Sant. Van Sant had a look around the outside of the second chicane, but wasn't quite close enough. Thought for a second 23 might go through wide, did not. Nearly had contact going into the second chicane as well between Kirton and Fusina. That didn't happen, but that brings Valsaramos back into this fight. One of the Iron Lynx liveried cars, the 69 car. He's made up some nice ground on these cars in front, and now has another shot. Mike Redford has had an incident.
Oh, just sliding.
What on earth?
That could have been from being on the brakes going through the corner, well, on the brakes and then turn, and could just lost the rear. Could just be a bit loose on the rear end. Could be the fuel dropping out and yeah, just making the rear end lighter. I had that yesterday in the Porsche. It's not too fun when you're sliding all the time, Jesse.
Yeah, I've done that myself, but only because I carried way too much speed in and too much steering too quickly. Obviously going way too fast, I would have never made the corner anyway, but as an isolated incident, that is a fortunate moment for Redford, who got his driver excuses in prior to the race tonight. So I think he's just about covered on that one.
Sure is, but yeah, I think the biggest thing from this update we've had is tires not like they used to be, Jesse. On another note, GT4s feel very, very nice.
Absolutely. I took my Ginetta to Donington Park here after the update. Absolutely had a ball with that car. I can assume a lot of the GT4s are very interesting. Speaking of GT4s, you want to do some GT4 action? Got you covered. Thursday Champ GT4s post 1.9 update. It's going to be so fun. You can really get your elbows out in that car, in those cars now, and just everything about those cars dynamically has changed in such a positive way. You can race each other quite heavily in those underpowered GT4 cars. I say underpowered, but they still got what, 300, 400 horsepower?
Yeah, it's just the downforce just taken off them from the GT3 cars basically, and they actually feel really good. But before they just felt like you were on ice. You didn't feel like you could feel the tires
That's
touching
true.
tarmac. I jumped in it. I jumped in the Aston actually, around to do pre-Q and around Paul Ricard, and my God, it is that you can feel the car. It doesn't feel like you're driving on ice. You just feel like you're driving a GT3, but slower and a bit less downforce. It's so nice and refreshing to actually have GT4s drive. And yeah, just head over to the RCI website and sign up and give it a good crack because it's fun. Oh, where's
Oh,
that
it's a
BMW
huge
going?
slide from Pusina,
Drift off
who
the
saved it.
drift off the race.
Drift of the race so far, yeah, just a little bit too much
Oh,
power at that point in the corner. Does a big slide, doesn't lose a position, puts the Lamborghini 69 right on the back of him, and now has got through as the Dos Ramos Lamborghini for 19th, or excuse me, 18th place at this time. BMW for Pusina, that looks like an absolute handful.
sure does. And if you fancy that off there,
Somebody was off the track there. It's like the 99, perhaps.
the 199, I think.
That Malcolm.
Malcolm,
Yep, it was
yeah.
indeed Malcolm.
Have a look at this. Oh, hit that bump. Oh dear. At least it didn't hit any walls, and pretty nice rejoin. I gotta say that. Yeah, that's a weird bump to hit in that chicane. I've never hit that like that before, but as you can see, it sends you spinning.
It sure can and has done. Malcolm has called it quits, and they will come into pit lane to serve their required mandatory pit stop with the parameters laid out by Ted Edwards earlier on in the broadcast. And keep in mind, if you're new to Night Owl, and you'd be forgiven if you are unaware of the certain special rules here for Night Owl, each race has a random pit requirement that's set on the day of the race whenever the signups occur as one car goes off the racetrack. When the signups occur, the drivers only know what the first track they're going to is. The rest of the tracks are revealed at a later date. So there's no cherry picking cars for the Night Owl series. A couple of things that we don't normally do is Danny Santos had a big off. Oh, and it's a huge monster trucking curb that he's taken, bouncing pogo stick style, and he's looking the wrong way down the straight.
He munched that curve, Jesse. I wouldn't have bothered going that far over that curve there, but yeah, geez, I don't think they're even in the race anymore. I think they pulled the garage door down on that one. Unfortunately, they're doing so well, but I forgot what we were on about. Oh yeah, Night Owl special stuff. Yeah, the first round of a championship is always the same track from the last season. So Zolder was the last round of season 12. That's why we have it for season 13. So the drivers know that already. Not the same conditions, bear in mind, or pit requirements. Now that's another thing, Jesse. We have some wacky pit requirements over here, don't we?
We certainly do. What do you say we? Like I'm setting it up, Ted.
Sorry,
You have some wacky pit. I love it. Okay, can I just say, it makes drivers think, and if there's one thing I always appreciated as a driver, I love non-cookie cutter races. There's nothing wrong with cookie cutter races. They're very fun to do, but there is so much more imagination involved and strategy involved when you change it up. You don't have to take tires this week. You've got to take 25 liters of fuel. You're going to be sitting still for X amount of time. You have to take a tire stop at some point. That changes how you do setup. It changes when you pit, and also the dreaded 2 pit stops required in an hour. There's a strategy on when you come in, how you separate and space out the race for you. Harry Conway, who's the leader on the road of the cars that have pitted, car in front of him goes off the racetrack a little bit. They're going to make up that spot, but that number 3 car They are the leader so far of the cars that have completed their stop. Jordan Daly has done the deed as well.
Oh
And
no.
Pusina has just sped in pit lane. No live stewarding. So any penalty you see is ACC assigned. Stop and go 30 for Pusina. That is speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah, that's excessive speed as well, because you can still get a drive-through for speeding in the pit lane if it's just over. But yeah, that was a lot of speed in the pit lane. I am gonna guess from that. But yeah, the pit requirements. I've added. I've tweaked it for this season, Jesse. Would you like to hear the tweaks?
Do go on.
So we always have a tyres, fuel, a no pit in a race, a pit window like we have now, a two pits as you mentioned before. But this time I've added the 25 second pit, which is doesn't matter how much fuel you take, a litre or full fuel, it will take you 25 seconds to complete. So if you add tyres onto that, that would be 30. So it depends what strategy you pick there. And also for the 90-minute final, it used to have a pit tyre change mandatory, but now I've taken that off. So you make the strategy on that one. You can try and go 90 minutes with the same tyres you started on, or you can come in and change them.
Well, there you have it, folks. This is the race for the lead. It's gone absolutely nowhere. Watson leading the race, has led every lap thus far. Jonathan Seville, though, his teammate, has the quickest lap and has not let him get away. 5 seconds behind them is their other teammate in Weiss. But it is really a two-horse race here and a pit stop left to give. Absolutely epic racing here. If you'd like to know how we put together our fantastic series, as Ted Edwards was explaining, we couldn't do it without AK Esports. If you'd like to learn more about how they can help you with your sim racing, hosting, and esports, you can visit akesports.it. Link in the description.
Yeah, all our partners are amazing. They're that amazing. I whacked them on the Race Ventura Porsche, the 992, because without them, it'd be a big old challenge to do this.
They definitely make our jobs a lot easier. We salute them. Of course, we'll hear more about lovely partners as the race continues. Eshan Lele for Sabre Racing Incorporated in 7th place. They've been steadily gaining on some of the cars in front of them. You can see Dixon, Gaida, and IPEC in front of them. Cars are all the top 7 cars. They've separated themselves from 8th place on back. They're all fighting each other here. Sean Lele's joined this fight, sort of feeling this out right now. They're all trying to gain a little bit of position. I think I saw a Porsche up there. I think that was Grim Lilith, in fact, who's done their pit stop. So one of those cars not involved in that battle right.
Oh, why is Jordan Daly in the pit lane? Oh, that is unusual. Maybe not feeling driving today, but he did say he was pretty tired. So maybe he's just hit the wall, Jesse. We all hit the wall sometimes. Even if not sim racing, you just get so tired that you just don't want to do anything. You just want to fall into the sea and just sink.
Paolo Martino making a move, going around the outside. Thought the Porsche was defending there for a second. Nope, just had a weird run out of the corner. Thank you very much. 17th place for Paolo.
Yeah, it's quieting down a little bit now, Jesse, isn't it? 33 minutes of the race left to go. It's pretty hectic for the first 15. There's still little mini battles we've got going along, as you see by the track map. The only real big gaps I can see is from the 212 all the way down to the 3, halfway around the track. So that's a big crash in the background. What? Who was that? The 111 and
that was Olivier Kierton.
But who was that with?
Or Oliver Kierton, perhaps. Yeah.
Is that a back marker?
He locked up the brakes is what he did. Kierton locks up the front brake, slides the car out, and hits another car into the hairpin. A strange crash indeed.
I think someone needs to tell him it's not bowling, it's racing. But, that was pretty. I haven't seen a crash like that in a very long time, Jesse. And we do a lot of races here, and not just at this track, but all the tracks we have in ACC. But that was pretty fast.
I
Fast
tell you
hit.
what, that was more akin to a Formula One or an IndyCar style crash where the car outbrakes itself and locks itself up and then slides into another car. That is somewhat rare to see a GT car slide through like that with the ABS systems and all of that, but certainly a situation that has prolonged the nightmare for Olivia Kearton or Oliver
And
Kearton, depending on
yeah.
how they prefer it to be pronounced. But massive crash there, a realistic looking crash, admittedly, but not one that Kearton wanted to be involved in.
Yeah, I think Stewie just then was before trying to find a yellow flag that had happened. I think it was Pacina, the BMW. I can see on power there is not another BMW here, but they have unfortunately pulled the garage door down on their garage. Not sure why, but yeah. So we've had a few retirements this race, down to 37 out of the 42 we had. So we still got a lot of cars racing, which is nice. And that's why I didn't want to split into two different servers, as we see a back marker getting way out of the way for Jonathan there in the 97.
Well, Danny Santo has joined us in chat, and they have pulled their garage door down. They're citing that they have an injured right hand and just could not continue. Well, we appreciate the college try for this evening, but more importantly than anything, take care of yourself. We'll see
Oh,
you back on the racetrack soon. Chris Wilson has had a spin opposite of the way the track is going. Was that contact or was that opposite lock? You be the judge. 73 sitting there for quite a long time. Let's see if we caught what happened there. No, we did not. Jonathan Seville for Pulse Sim Sport still hounding the leader Watson. Now, we haven't talked too much about this, Ted, but these are teammates. We're obviously not going to take each other out, I wouldn't suspect. But if you are Seville, you've got to be saying at some point, come on, I'm obviously at least as quick as you, probably a little bit quicker. Give me a little credit here.
yeah. I was in the same situation last night with Billy Octane, another driver we know quite well, a friend of Harry Conway, and I was following him the whole race, literally this far apart for the whole race, and I had the pace, but I was trying to save my tyres. So was he, and it was only towards the end of the race where I decided that I, want to try and send it, but couldn't make it happen. And oh dear, a bit of contact there from Grim Lilith on, I think that was Chris. But yeah, it's just like I kept saying to Billy, I'm not gonna send it. I'm not gonna send it. I don't want to make us slower so the other guys can catch behind. I think that's what's happening here. Trying to get away from Wes, who's 6.9 seconds behind. So it might come down to like the last 10 minutes where they start battling out, or switching positions.
On that note, Ted, do you know who really sends it? DigitalMotorsports.com. They're your one-stop shop for sim racing hardware. You're over there. They have got all the top brands from all of the great sim racing hardware as Marvin has taken a really long slides out into the grass. But Digital Motorsports, your one-stop shop for everything sim racing, all the top brands, great prices as well. While you're there, try out their Sim Rig Builder. Build your very own customized sim rig. DigitalMotorsports.com. Use our link in the description. Lets them know that we sent you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we see Olivia Curtin on Kwiatkowski, and that's something I noticed is Kwiatkowski pre-queued into the silver class, Jesse. I wonder if they're just struggling a little bit with the 1.9 update. I know a few people are struggling. Setups are a little bit more fiddly to get precise and what you want out of the car without damaging, heating the tires or just the tire wear in general. So I wonder if they're just struggling a bit, but they're in top 15, 14th place right now out of the 35 plus cars we have, and oh god, yeah, oh dear me, that was have been a lot worse, but lucky enough they didn't touch the walls.
You're seeing a lot of that now as we get strung out in this race, and the tires are obviously taking a little bit of wear. They're not nearly as grippy as they used to be. You're seeing a lot of single car spins, a lot of mistakes happening. That's going to happen in something like this with the new update, the new physics. You're so used to the car driving a certain way, and now it doesn't. You're so used to it responding to the curbs in a certain way, and now it doesn't. You're used to running off the racetrack and being able to save it. Maybe now you can't do that as easily as you used to be able to do that on worn tires because they are so damaged. All of these things are leading into these spins. Luckily, a lot of these that we've been seeing are single car incidents. It is a huge learning curve, but there is no better place or time to learn it than a race like this. You've got this many cars, you've got an hour, it's a series. You can get your confidence back, you can learn a lot in. And, one mistake, because of the way RCI championships usually run, you get a drop round at some point. Make one mistake, no sweat, get them next time. That round doesn't count.
Yeah, that's one thing as well. It's different with Night Owl. I've added a drop round in just because, I just make it a little bit more easier on people. If they have a bad round, I don't want people just to think, oh well, that's it, championship over sort of thing. It's just a little bit extra. They don't have to sign out. They get 2 sign outs as it is, but I'm being a bit of a nicer person this year to the Night Owl folks, the Night Owl drivers. So it is what it is. But I just see there, Craig Stark in the 1-2-3. He's got stopping on 30. That is speeding in the pit lane. That's going to hurt the race a little bit there. I think they were on for a provisional podium for 3rd place, possibly. I'm not too sure. Obviously, there's still some silver cars to do their pit stops, but yeah, that's not going to happen anymore. That's a big old wait in that pit lane.
Sure is. The second speeding penalty on pit lane we've had this evening. We've talked a lot about racecraft and relearning the cars. This is interesting action going on here. Zach Doran from Team Shuby Skins trying to make that, or trying to not let them escape in this case. And so that is in the 222 Lamborghini. Zach trying to make a way around. Have been able to do that. But one of the greatest things about sim racing is that if you're looking to get better, it's quite easy to do just that. Just go to driver61.com. They offer one-on-one driver coaching and full-on racing schools for sim racing and the like. Driver61.com. Several of our admins here at RCI have used Driver61, and it has improved their racing ability and, of course, their skill, lap times, etc., and so forth. It can happen to you. Their one-on-one training, absolutely fantastic.
Sure is, Jesse Lee. And I just noticed something. Down in 37th place, Jordan Daly's got going again. Not sure why.
Something mechanical happened, I'm assuming, with that.
Yeah.
The way that Daly stopped was so bizarre that Callum Kerrigan has had another incident. Way. That's a second time for Kerrigan.
Definitely the wrong way, but yeah, that chicane's catching a lot of the Ferraris out. If you notice that, Jesse, none of the other cars, no Porsches, no Lambos, just really the Ferraris just struggling. I guess bouncing with the rear end. Maybe they just haven't got the suspension set up properly to help with the bump.
Yeah, some things never change. It doesn't matter how much you change the dynamics. Racing is racing, and accidents at that first chicane, they're absolutely going to happen here. Raphael Hewley, haven't talked anything about the Wright Motorsport driver in a usual position, though, inside the top 10, challenging guy to 4-6 place here, a little after halfway into the race. Those cars still have a pit stop left to give. Eshon Lele, the leader of the cars that have pitted, the number 8 Ferrari in 16th place. 15th on up have not yet pitted. Mike Redford nearly ran out of room there by Kerrigan. Looking down to the inside, a little bit of contact as Redford hip checks him on the way through, but gets the job done. 28th place for Redford.
Redford's just saying, get out my way. Yep. That's another thing. Redford's in the Honda. I'm pretty sure there's another Honda in 37th place, 91. in 27th, the 18 as well. Mustang's taken that as well. So 3 Hondas, definitely not a car I would have thought people would have chose at the start of 1.9. Maybe I'm missing something there, but I know obviously the new cars would have been chosen. I know Audi Evo 2 would have still been chosen. It was a good car in 1.8, and I wouldn't have thought it would have got any worse for 1.9. It's nice to see the AMGs out again. But not really that much of the other cars. I know I saw a Lexus yesterday driving around, so that was nice to see. But where are the V12 Astons, Jesse? Or the Jag?
I, I, I think you would have to be a borderline madman to enter a car like that in this. I would absolutely applaud that effort. And I think a lot of chat would also applaud that effort as well. They love the GTR. They love a crazy car like a Jag, etc. The V12 or whatever, Aston as well. I can tell you, and this is spoiler alert, is it's getting quite dicey right here as the lap car nearly running off the racetrack. Everybody checks up and guided hole to continue on. But it wasn't a V12, but spoiler alert, there was a V8 Aston that won the race yesterday, beat out a bunch of Ferraris, all of that. So the older cars are still viable, and I heard a rumor, I have nothing to substantiate this, but several cars are going to get BOP updates, and Pavel Gaida runs into the back, Huell runs into the back of Gaida, and that was a scary moment. Just a little bit of time loss there. Maybe a position for Huell.
Yeah, not what I expected from Huell. Normally he's pretty good. Jonathan Seville in the 97s just come in for their pit stop, and just leaving the pit lane now, I believe. Yeah, that's very, something I don't really see often from Huell. Going into the back or so. Normally I see the odd slide or spin or whatever, but to hit someone else like that is very surprising. But both drivers still pointing in the right direction, so not too bad. But front end damage for Huell and rear end damage for Gadget there.
Can I just say, this is a team that I can get behind. Sim Seniors, Danny Moffat's team in the number 11 car, absolutely going for it inside the top half of the field, looking to get by Malcolm. Again, doesn't pay more points. He's got to get by Malcolm to go up there and potentially challenge the likes of Rodriguez. Of course, he doesn't want to get held up because some other cars are also in his class that he could be fighting with once pit stops is done. But Jordan Daly has monster trucked the curb, and like so many other cars today, has found themselves in the grass.
I think for Daly at this point in the race, he's just trying to see what works with the Mercedes and what doesn't. Mercedes has sort of not been, in 1.8 wasn't really one of the greatest cars. A few people still took them, few people still drove them pretty quickly, but Daly moved away from it for a while, and it's come back to it to see what it's like. And I think he's just trying to work out like what setup settings work and what don't.
Jonathan Seville has done their pit stop. That has dropped them down a little bit. Remember, they were right behind P1 at the time. But the Pulse Sim Sport car out there without further incident. Looked like a decent stop to me. We'll see how it shakes out. Watson, who's led the entire race thus far, continues on. In fact, the top 6 still have a pit stop left to give, and then 9th down, 12th as well. It's been an adventure for some of the cars as some of them are out of position for the time being. Jonathan Seville now has to be careful. Could potentially, with the speed that he has, catch Dan Edvardsen and all the cars in front if they try to run the 16 minutes of the pit window that they have left. That could be dangerous. That could lose Seville time. You got to be very careful here.
Yeah, sure do. And seems we give a little shout out to the Thursday champ. I thought I might give a shout out to the Wednesday champ that starts next week. You can take it as you can do it as a solo or as a 2-man team. Signups are open. Calendar is on the website. Barcelona, Monza, Kota, Valencia, Donington Park, and Nürburgring. 80-minute races with a pit stop mandatory. So solos have to take a pit stop, while the duos do their driver swap. You do have to do a pre-queue. If you do as a two-man, then both of your times will be averaged out. But yeah, head on over to racerci.com. We have a Wednesday champ. We also have a one-off coming up as well. Who's
Rick
this?
Shooten has had a huge off in turn number 1. I don't think they hit anything. The gravel trap saved them, but that car rolls to a stop in a very dangerous place at the exit of turn number 1. They have either gotten going or they have returned to the garage one way or another. Grim here giving way, perhaps. No, not doing that. Getting touched and out of sorts over the curbs by the Ferrari there. Grim will not appreciate that quite as much, but neither will the Ferrari in that case.
Oh, I see. We see our first drive-through for track limits, Jesse. Oh, what is here? Another touch?
Oh, was there more of this? Was this?
Ah,
oh wow, the
that's where
Ferrari goes
disappeared.
spinning as well. That's right. The live shot we saw with Grim, there wasn't another car there. So that little feud came to a head, and that is no bueno, as they would say south of the border.
And again, is that the same car? I'm guessing. Apparently, Stu was saying the same car, no contact. So that would have been from the first chicane hitting that bump, as we see. But Ferrari is just hitting that bump all wrong, and yeah, reverses and hits the barrier, unfortunately. But Callum Kerrigan getting a drive-through for track limits. They are in the pit lane.
With everything that Kerrigan has dealt with tonight, I'm not particularly surprised that they received a drive-through. Again, you can be in a full-blown accident and get a track limits warning around here. You don't have to do it on purpose to get one. Is that kind of racetrack. Some are more strict than others. This is quite strict on that. We alluded earlier that there is possible that you could get one on certain corners as well, different tracks, but you've seen it, I've seen it. Kerrigan has been disqualified.
Yeah, I was about to say he didn't serve his drive-through, or he sped too fast into the pit. I think you can get DQ'd if you go too fast, but you would be flooring it into the pit lane. But if you don't serve your drive-through within 3 laps, then you get a DQ because, you know, rules are rules at the end of the day, but that is unfortunate. I'm not sure why they didn't serve that, but, you know, it's a bit weird.
I mean, it could be that they floored it into the pit lane in frustration and got disqualified as well.
We have seen
one way
that.
or another. Yeah, definitely. That's most common, but it's you also get disqualified by not serving. You get 3 laps to serve a penalty of that magnitude. But either way, Callum Kerrigan car has been disqualified from round number 1. Keep in mind, no live stewarding for this series. All ACC assigned. Post-race stewarding is available. The drivers have to report their own incidents, sort of thing. Raphael Huell finds themselves in the mix still, right behind a couple of cars that they're not actually fighting for the moment. A few seconds in front of them, a couple of cars that have not pitted yet. Oliver Kierton and the 169, the current leader in the silver class, still has a pit stop left. Rudy Philmalter should retake the lead in silver once the silver pit stops on.
I want to see where Harry Conway ends up. You know, he pitted really early on to get out of the way of the mega traffic, if you like. It was just a big old long train, and not doing too bad for himself at the moment.
Oh, we got to be careful here.
Gonna pit. Oh, teammates fight. Oh, where is PE in the gravel? He is Jesse Lee. That was not great.
Bargy right there. Bryn Jones getting involved with that. That wasn't one of our leading cars, mind you. Pierre Marquez out there in the middle of the pack as well. Speaking of being in the middle of the pack, Mike Redford.
Yeah, he's not doing too bad for himself. Is he, Jesse? After coming into chat, trying to get his excuses out of the way, but in the Honda, out of all the cars to choose from, as I said before, it surprises me. Like I said, might be missing something here. Might still be a pretty good car, but still doing great. I think that's maybe. I don't know if that is a back market car. I think that's just another eraser. No, it is a back market car.
By the way,
It was.
confirmation from Kevin Boss in chat. Kerrigan did speed into pit lane, which is ACC automatically DQs you if you are going Mad Max into the
Oh,
pit lane. So that is what happened. Cheers, Kevin Boss, and well,
Callum.
we'll see Kerrigan next week, as it turns out. Grim Lilith continuing to pound around the race course. Certainly, probably frustrated with the events that have unfolded here this evening. Of course, we saw what happened about 3 laps ago.
We sure did. 12 minutes left on the clock, 10.5 minutes of pit window left. I think almost everyone's in. I think it's just some of the top guys. First to fifth, seventh, ninth still need to do their mandatory. Everyone else has done theirs. So at the minute, Rudy Fillmore in the 99 Porsche is leading silver class. Got quite a big gap, to be fair, over Malcolm and the 199 Ferrari. So pretty good go from Fillmore.
You know, if I wanted to lead around here, you know what I would do? I'd go get me a Go setup. They have all different setups for all of the different cars. They've got baselines for the 1.9 update and the new cars as well. GoSetups.com. Go over there and get you some setups, premium quality setups. They've got esports setups and safer alternatives for you to use. They update that. Some of the early inroads, a lot of the guys that I know made into understanding the car for post 1.9 was because of the Go setups. So thank you very much for those of you that use our link and make a purchase from Go Setups. We see you doing that, and we appreciate your patronage. It's completely seamless, isn't it, Ted, that I'm trying to compete with John Dalton for Shill of the Year.
Gonna do some more shilling?
Nah, I think I'm done for now. I like to spread it up. We got 10 minutes left. I've got one more in me, I think, as the racing continues. Harry Conway almost losing it over the curb there. Got 2 of them in the air, but unfortunately for him, it's not a motorbike. It's a 4-wheel machine. It grips better with all 4 wheels on the ground. Let's take a look at this. You can change the oil with how high that car got in the air. Absolutely caning it over the curbs, trying to keep pace with the Porsche in front, trying to get inside the top 10. I think Conway, undoubtedly, they're going to get a top 10 here today if they can keep it together. The question is, where exactly will they be? 3 cars within striking distance of the 3-time Night Out champion that still have to make their pit stops. That's Dos Ramos, Agudelo, and Kierton have to make a stop still. I think Gaida, Ipek, and Dixon are a little bit too far in front. By the way, we haven't talked about the 94 Ferrari of Dixon at all tonight, but currently P3 has had a quiet, steady, and good race tonight.
Yeah, just chilling out. Not really got any competition. The 224 IPEC is somewhere, but not in their rearview mirror, so there's nothing really to worry about. There you go, 14.3 seconds gap. So it's you know, nothing to really to worry about there for the 3rd place, but yeah, there's always the thing is though, it's always in the back of your head, Jesse. Is if I make a mistake, where I would end up? But let's see there, the 31 at the hairpin is a yellow flag. For who that is, but that is a Gary Barham. He was probably backwards there, but I have a replay for that.
They got 7 minutes to make their mandatory pit stop for the race tonight. There's several cars that have not done that. The leader has done their stop. That would be Watson. They've come back out, and I believe they've come back out in front of IPEC and Seville. Seville, I would assume, past IPEC, who is in the pit lane still. So we'll see how that all shakes out. That puts Weiss into the lead of the race for the time being. Almost everybody else has done their stop outside the top 10. They will filter through. Javier Marquez has had an adventure of a race. They've got it all together, though. P18 and driving away from Martino and Doran behind, who are in a fierce battle, trying to make it all work out here inside the top 20.
Yeah, we got 5 more cars to do their pit stops. So not too far. 1 silver and 4 pro cars. And then everyone is done. That Lamborghini getting very close to the V8 there. That was
Intimidation tactics right there is what that is.
just pushing them around the corner. Come on, get out my way is what that was basically saying there. But yeah, it's not been really that too much of a bad race, Jesse. Seems there was a lot of cars. We've had a lot of incidents, a lot of touch. Power Gadget's just got a drive-through for track limits, Jesse. Oh dearie me.
Oh my goodness. Pavel Guida with the drive-through for track limits. We've seen 2 of those today. Will we see more in the final 6 minutes? There's so many cars racing each other here. Remember, just going off course, cutting the chicane side by side, which is very common. Can't have that. Harry Conway making a move and making it stick. A tiny bit of contact. No harm, no foul with that, really. I felt like he had the run into the corner and major contact. You're gonna get close quarters argy-bargy around this place. We have been joined in chat by Callum Kerrigan, who is lamenting their day, calling their race a stinker. That's their words, not mine. Classic Callum, 1 mistake leads to 1,000. Got any comment on that, Ted? You wouldn't know anybody like that, would you?
I know him. That's me. Yeah.
Me too. Me as well.
Yeah. That's the problem. You have 1 mistake. It's like you have 1 slide, and then you end up having like 20 more slides. Look at that send from Harry Conway. Just a little bit of contact, but not too bad. But yeah, you have 1 mistake. Yeah, you go wide, get drive through for track limits or whatever, and then your day goes from bad to even worse. And there's nothing you can really do. It's just one of those things. You will always have a bad race at some point.
Weiss has pitted, of course, and that puts Dixon at the point of the race. Still are 4 cars that still have to make a pit stop in the next lap or so. 1 car's going in right now. That slowed up the group ever so slightly. Agadello into the pit lane. That will leave just about 3 cars left to go to pit. Watson is in front of Seville, and there is a significant gap there. Late pitting seems to have been the way to go, as Seville must have been held up significantly in traffic. There's no real big difference on the pit stop differential, so definitely not 6 seconds worth at any rate. Seville is catching Watson, but I'm afraid it's a bridge too far and a day too late. Watson has timed their stop perfectly.
Yeah, sure has. And I'm just looking at Harry Conway, obviously doing the early pit stop, qualified in 6th. If the 69 and the 111, I believe, will fall back behind Conway, he'll still be in 6th place. The 169 gets a drive through. They've just gone into the pit lane. That would be minor speeding in pit lane, Jesse.
Minor speeding in the pit lane. You hate to see that. That will ruin a potential podium day for Agadello. They will have to come down. That will re-promote Malcolm up into P2 and Martino up into P3. I think they'll lose. Oh, maybe they won't lose all those positions. I don't know right now with the pit cycle if I can trust the timing and scoring, and I cannot. I think he's going to lose a podium spot here. Grimm still battling it out, trying to get Orlick's spot here for 22nd. He's going to try and do it the hard way around the outside. He might be able to manage it just, but hanging on the inside and now falling back in line. Position gain, 22nd.
Yeah, I was talking to Grimm before the race, and Grimm drives on a... Rory getting a bit wide there. Grimm drives on the controller, and he was worried with the new tyre update, because he doesn't have such a precision as us on the wheels, that he might start graining the front tyres a lot sooner than us. But by the looks of it, he's actually hanging on all right. 3 minutes left of the race to go. It looks like he's got control of the car, but maybe this track isn't too bad on the tyres. Harry Conway jumping again, so is Ralph Huell. It's a bouncy castle.
Well, look, you do it once, you do it twice, and then you get used to it. You realize, okay, well, this is what the car's going to do, and you're no longer scared of doing it as long as you hit it right. That's a double-edged sword, of course, but that's the second or third time Harry's done it, meaning that he's used to it. As long as he hits his spot the same time, the same place every time, he's probably going to have the same results. And he knows it's not going to spin the car out. And he's taking a little extra curb. It's not gaining him anything, is my problem. Not gaining anything by doing that. And of course, having a car right in front of him like Raphael Huell, that's not helping him. That's probably why he's doing that, to be honest, is he cannot spot his corner entry and exit.
Yeah, the thing is, taking the chicane like that can, if you get it just right and the car doesn't bounce too much, can be faster. But the thing is, you've got to hit it perfect. It's like pixel perfect speed running chicane. Yeah, you get it wrong, and you've seen it many times this race that you just spin out. That's it. You've lost all those places that you worked hard for.
Brought up speed running. I'll make another video game analogy. It's like those levels in Mario, in the 3D Mario games, where the world is there, but you can't see it. You just have to memorize where it is, and it's a blind path. That's what following a car that closely is like. You have to have muscle memory and know, well, this is where I brake, this is where I turn in, because when you're following a car as closely as Harry Conway is right now, you just don't get to use your sight lines like you normally otherwise would. And that's the same for a lot of cars. Oh, and it's contact there. Eshon Lele gets huge air and has contact. Was that Edvardsen he had contact with? Yes, it was. Edvardsen almost drove underneath him.
We're going to see this from the driver's point of view, and hello.
Oh, baby!
Can I check you underneath? Yeah, no rust there. But
never raced or rallied. Garage kept.
I ain't seen that for a while, Jesse. That was interesting.
Almost got flipped over is what happened right there. Yao has had a big issue here. Oh, and it's a huge crash. Yao Manso, big time into the Armco.
That, I'm guessing the car just snapped to the left, because that doesn't make any sense.
Unless there was side-by-side contact where they were.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is.
Look, that is exactly what it was.
Oh, dearie me, Manso. That wasn't great. That's just ruined someone's race.
Yeah, Manso hugely off of the race course there, and that's interesting because there were a lot of cars fighting over around the 20th place position. And that could have dropped them considerably. Yeah, that is. Put them into the clutch as well. You know who's had just about a perfect race? They got it done in qualifying, and they've got it done on the racetrack. Pulse Sim Sports, Jordan Watson's going to fire the first shot in Night Owl Season 13, and he's going to win it here. Jonathan Seville comes home P2 and locks out the front row for Pulse Sim Sport. And not to be left out, Lucas Weiss for Pulse Sim Sport makes it a Pulse Sim Sport 1-2-3 in the opening round of Night Owl. Absolute perfection. And can you believe it? Miles Dixon had a quiet race, but makes it a 1, 2, 3, 4. Utter domination.
And it's not finished with these two here. Ralph Huell and Harry Conway, two Night Owl veterans, I would say. Huell's been here for a very long time, so is Harry, and Huell just beats him out. Harry did very well there.
Harry doing a very good job making right all the wrongs from the Friday champ race one night ago. That has to feel good in a field this size. Bill Malter comes across the line. Rodriguez, Ipek, and Edvardsen across the line to complete the top 10. Dos Ramos had a pretty good race, all things considered. Eshon Lele, who we saw earlier get involved in some dramas backwards at one point. They end up getting 12th, Moffitt 13th. Oliver Kierton, Malcolm, and of course, speaking of Malcolm, in the 199, they have won the silver class over Allen and Agadello, who has been given a 30-second penalty. So that would mean Martino will be promoted onto the podium, I would think.
Let me stop. Rudy Fillmore took silver pole. Silver win.
I mean, Rudy Fillmalter was so far up the running order today. I didn't even see him. So my apologies. Rudy Fillmalter has won the silver race here today. Malcolm and Allen, the top three. Well spotted, Ted.
Yeah, Malcolm finished before Fillmore did. because the Fillmore was so far in front. I didn't even see him there, but he did so well. Seventh place. It just, I guess, just had the better strategy, kept out of all the carnage that happened early on, and it just did a really good race.
Well, what a fantastic race. 40 some cars took the green flag here tonight, and most of them made it to the line. We are so happy to be back for a night out. It's one of the more fun broadcasts we get to do. We let our hair down, so to speak, and it's just a fun night for everybody involved. We thank you all for being with us here tonight, making Night Owl very, very special indeed. Congratulations to all of our winners today. We will see if they can keep it up. Pole Sim Sport seems to be the team to beat, Ted, but we kind of already knew.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest teams we've got here at the moment. I haven't seen a big team like that for a while, but yeah, just showing that first, second, third, and fourth.
Finally, of course, a big thank you to Fanatec. Feel free to use our affiliate link when making purchases of quality sim racing hardware directly from Fanatec. Make the best high quality sim racing hardware that you can get. Direct drive platforms all around, excellent pedals as well. Fanatec.com. Use our affiliate link that lets them know that we sent you. We appreciate you doing that for us. Ted Edwards, final thoughts on today's race.
Uh, Not too bad considering the amount of cars we had. It was pretty good going, and no live stewarding. So yeah, pretty good race. Nice racing. Yeah, just want to see more of it.
Race number one in the books, Pulse Sim Sport, the big winners here tonight. What will round number two bring in a week or so's time? We will have to see when we get there. We thank you all for joining us on behalf of everybody here on the broadcast team, the stewards, the admins. We thank you for watching. I've been Jesse Lee, joined by Ted Edwards and Stewie. Night Owl back in town. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to go to racerci.com, sign up, check out all the new events we have. GT4 Thursdays, Friday, GT Sprint Challenge, Night Owl, of course, Monday, Maserati Cup, the Wednesday Championship as well, team based, and more to come. RaceRCI.com. But until next time, thank you all for watching. Have a good night.